Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Big Money Talks with me, Big Money Drew Nicholas. And I actually forgot that I didn't podcast on Tuesday. I've been having a lot of stuff going on. So today is Thursday, and uh, we had AEW last night. So I actually did watch most of that. I didn't watch all, but I watched most. And I didn't want to when I decided, oh yeah, let me do this today. I decided I didn't really want to focus much on Raw and SmackDown this week, only because what's happening on SmackDown is nice. It's fun to watch. I enjoy it, but Raw is just not exciting to even think about. So I think that today we're going to just talk about a couple of things. One, I want to talk about SmackDown really briefly, just because of the interesting thing that they're doing with Edge. He was on SmackDown and he's playing it smart. He doesn't want to choose right now as on Raw because there's going to be an elimination chamber match and that nonsense. So I really like how they're utilizing him because he's using this really smart strategy of going around and seeing what he's got to go for, who the champions are, what they're about, and then on SmackDown he made Roman Reigns very angry, and that was interesting to see. He was, I think, probably the most angry he had been since the Hell in a Cell match with Jay. He was just furious, and he demanded that Edge choose him. Like, he needs Edge to choose him to face him at WrestleMania. Um, so I'm interested in seeing where that goes. And let's see. The only thing about Raw that was interesting was, I mean, there were a couple interesting things, but to be honest with you, it's Thursday. And if you asked me, hey, what happened on Raw? I could probably tell you three things that happened on Raw. I know that Shane McMahon came back and he said that the Elimination Chamber is now a WWE Championship match where, Drew and Miz and Sheamus and AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton are going to fight for the WWE Championship at the Elimination Chamber, in the Elimination Chamber. And I'm like, okay. Why? I don't really know why. Uh, it was supposed to just be Drew and Sheamus. And then Shane McMahon came back and he decided, oh, well, okay, we're going to do this nonsense. And then dips. And interestingly enough, I had forgotten that Shane and Drew were like a thing when Drew was a heel when he first came back up to the main roster. Totally forgot about that. I think Dolph was also a part of that too, because Dolph was, Dolph did the "it should have been me" and all that bullshit. Um, but then, uh, what else happened? Oh, Keith Lee and Riddle. Keith Lee and Riddle was a really good match. Actually, that was my favorite match of the night. Keith Lee just ragdolling Riddle at some points, and Riddle selling like crazy, and um, I think, wow, I don't remember who won the match. I'm pretty sure Keith Lee won the match, right? Yeah, or did it not? You see, a lot of stuff has happened this week, everybody. So I don't remember. I don't remember who won the match legitimately, or if there was a DQ. No, it wasn't a DQ. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a DQ. But just to touch on the Elimination Chamber again for a second, isn't it interesting how like half of those characters, if not more of those characters, are like the same exact characters from 10 years ago? Like, what the heck? What the heck? um, yes, Keith Lee did defeat Riddle. I had to check my Raw recap on CageSideSeats.com for that. Cheap plug. Um, and then, we had we'll get to the funny part in a moment. But so Edge on this show, on Raw, he also was really great, choosing not to pick anybody yet, but also going against Miz, saying that Miz is, he's playing his kid's game and he's being more of an adult. And yeah, there was other celebrity things. We're going to get to that in a moment. And the Charlotte Flair, Lacey Evans stuff. I don't care about that. Don't care. And okay, so the funny part, probably one of the funniest things that's happened on Raw since Drew McIntyre, which, funny enough, Drew McIntyre and my whole. Nia Jax probably had the funniest moment of her career, and WWE didn't like it because they bleeped it out of YouTube, and they're probably never going to mention it again unless Vince McMahon decides on Monday, oh yeah, that was really funny, let's now beat it to death. So my whole is either going to disappear and never be talked about again, or it's going to be just so overly done that by the middle of March, nobody will want to hear about it anymore because that's how WWE works. Okay, so now let's talk about, well, you know what? Let's talk about the celebrity stuff first, because I think that actually may tie into AEW, which I'm going to talk about this week as the feature of the show. I read on Twitter. Now, I like Wrestle Talk a lot, and right before deciding, oh, hey, let me turn on the camera and do this week, I had read a report. And, it's a report. We don't know if this is 100%, if it's, if it's real, if it's somebody made something up, backstage-wise, because the report was that several WWE stars are unhappy with the portrayal of Bad Bunny on Raw since the Royal Rumble. First of all, and we're going to put a censor warning on this one, because this is going to be one of those days, like a couple of weeks ago. Okay. You have got to be insane if you think that Bad Bunny is being portrayed badly right now. I am not even a Bad Bunny fan. I haven't listened to Bad Bunny's music. I heard obviously the Booker T. Uh, okay. I mean, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what he's saying because I don't speak Spanish. But what I really just don't understand, and the direct quote from WrestleTalk.com's report was that I'm hearing that Bad Bunny is already at or going to be soon as a PC in Orlando with the little Bow Wow. I mean, that's okay. That's interesting. Expected soon. While this is great news for social media, word has it that actual talents are not, and word has it that actual talent are not impressed by the move. Talent is concerned that time and effort will go to the rap stars, which leaves effort being given to the actual, which leaves less effort being given to the actual wrestling product. Now, this is the part that we need to focus on, okay? Talent is concerned that time and effort will go into the rap stars, which leaves less effort being given to the actual wrestling product. That part of the whole quote is the most important part. And why is that? I'm going to tell you. First of all, no effort is given to the wrestling product on Monday Night Raw, even without celebrities. So what the hell are you talking about? That's number one. And now, if that's not true, number two, if it's not that it's talent that is saying that, it's definitely fans that are saying that. You're out of your fucking mind. You are out of your fucking mind. And you know why you're out of your fucking mind? Because no actual effort is given to the wrestling product, at least on Monday Night Raw. Okay? SmackDown is better. It's much better. You know, the Roman Reigns stuff and Paul Heyman and Jey Uso and Kevin Owens and the women on that show and practically everything on that show. There's attention there. Okay? Monday Night Raw is terrible. It's a terrible show for the most part. Here and there are good things. Like, there's always something. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, there's always at least one thing on Monday Night Raw that gets me going. Like, okay, this was great. Something that I can latch on to, something that I can enjoy. This past Monday was the Keith Lee and Riddle match. But this notion that the rap stars being on the show is going to somehow create less attention to the wrestling product by WWE is asinine, ridiculous, flat out a stupid thought to even have, because very little effort already for months has been given to the wrestling product. So at least the rap stars are adding something to the wrestling product, because what we've seen, I don't know if you noticed, but there's this guy called Damian Priest. That's his name, and he is being presented phenomenally the past 2 weeks because of his association with Bad Bunny. That's great. His wrestling is actually being highlighted as a result of his association with Bad Bunny. Why is this bad? I don't understand that. It's bringing eyes to YouTube, all right? I mean, it's not bringing eyes to television, but people are aware that Bad Bunny is showing up on WWE programming. his sales on the shop are apparently through the roof. I haven't seen the numbers, but I've seen Fightful report it. Come on, how is this bad? This is misplaced. I said this on Twitter before. This is misplaced unhappiness on whoever's part. Because to think that the rap stars are taking away from the actual wrestling product is insane. Insane. This isn't like the old Raw guest hosts of yesteryear, the Muppets and Snooki and whomever else were the guest hosts. I wasn't watching at the time, but where they would just like do random shit and it was really for kids. No, this is an international superstar, not a drunkie on the Jersey Shore or friggin' puppets. It's Bad Bunny, multiple award-winning, super popular internationally. And why is this bad? I really don't get it. I really don't get it. And it upsets me because there are places where the actual wrestling product is taken care of and not mishandled for the most part. I mean, there's things here and there. I think you know what I'm talking about. And I'm actually wearing a shirt supporting my boys, Santana and Ortiz today, okay? Because they're going to have a tag match next week with the Young Bucks, and I think they're going to win. And I hope they win because I really like them. I've liked them for a while now, and I saw them in person at the Second Progress NYC show in La Boom in Queens, where they would have, Evolve, rest in peace. I guess Evolve is no rest in peace, it's just NXT at the moment. But, it's AEW, they focus on the wrestling product, and as a result, produced a fantastic show yesterday, a phenomenal main event of just wrestling and this craziness, this like, what I really love about watching AEW the most is that they make me not have to suspend my disbelief too much because of how overproduced and rehearsed the shows feel. Like I have to do on Raw. Sometimes on SmackDown, but mostly on Raw. It's terrible. It's like, okay, it's like typical, it's run-of-the-mill, it's overproduced. This is what's going to happen. It's obvious. The perfect example, you can compare the two main events of Raw and AEW, okay? Raw, Sheamus comes out midway through Drew and Orton 8, and he's just sitting out there, and it's like, oh, interfere already. We know you're going to interfere, and sure enough he does, and sure enough it's a DQ. What a shock. Oh, of course, of course that's what's going to happen. Now compare that to AEW's main event, Kenta and Omega versus Moxley and Archer. Big fight feel, big, like the whole ambience of it, fighting through the arena into the kitchen, Moxley potatoing Omega in the face with a literal potato because they're in the kitchen. Going back out, Kenta doing that stomp, that running stomp from the stage onto Moxley on the ring area table. Just so great and exciting to watch and unpredictable. I mean, I didn't know which way it was going to go, really. Like, you figure, okay, the Good Brothers are going to come out. Okay, the Good Brothers came out. But it wasn't an expectation for me. I didn't think that the Good Brothers were going to come out. If, keeping up with the track record of the past couple of weeks, okay, yeah, Kenny Omega's there. The Good Brothers are probably going to come out. But it wasn't a thought in my mind until they came out, honestly. So, it, and then the stuff with Sammy Guevara and MJF and the Inner Circle, that's another thing. It's like, it's a slow build, and it's exciting, and like the Inner Circle stuff, it's had its ups and downs from the COVID era of wrestling, but for the most part it was entertaining. They did the Bubbly Club stuff, they did the Bubbly Bunch, not the Bubbly Club, uh and the Las Vegas scene when MJF just came in. Like, they do entertaining things, but it was like always up and down. So this week, Sammy tries to get a word in with MJF, and MJF is trying to secretly record Sammy basically say that he wants to take over the Inner Circle and he hates Chris Jericho. And Sammy finds out, he's like, "Oh, you're recording me." Punches MJF in the stomach, throws his phone, walks out. And then MJF walks up to Jericho because him and MJF are having the match with the Acclaimed. And then all of a sudden, he walks up and he's got the bandages here. And what a great touch this was. Jericho is like befuddled a little bit. He's like, what happened? And he says Sammy punched him. And that was the first time that they had officially gotten physical in a fight, from this whole breakdown of the Inner Circle. And Jericho like wanted to find out what happened more than wrestle. And his music hit. The Jericho MJF blend remix of Judas, and MJF starts walking off, and Jericho like is hesitant for a moment. You don't see that stuff in WWE really. It's like, oh, I really want to know what's happening right now, and my music's playing, but I don't want to go out there. I want to go and find the other person, and I want to ask them what's going on, but I have to go out and wrestle. Like there are so many times where that could happen in WWE, and they don't do stuff like that. It's just like, oh well, okay, I'm out on the ramp. I'm having there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the back, or stuff that happened earlier in the show, and I'm just like, okay, I'm walking out of the ramp, I'm going into the ring, wrestle, and then a DQ comes from whatever had happened previously. Most of the time, this was like, this is how you do it. It doesn't have to feel so overproduced and stuff. Like even it wasn't even like a close up on Chris Jericho, like a typical thing would be. It's like, oh, okay, the camera is panning to the entrance because that's what's supposed to happen, but it almost was like, do we pan to the entrance? Do we stay on jet? Like you get that feeling from watching the show, instead of camera 1, camera 3, camera 5, camera 2, go here, zoom out so that this way the whole, it's like, it feels like things are going on not scripted to me. And you know what? I could be crazy, and I could be one of the only people that feel this way, but I don't give a shit if I'm the only one that feels this way, because that's how I feel when I watch the show, and I enjoy watching the show because of that. If that's not how you feel, that's fine. If you think that Bad Bunny is bad, I mean, whatever. That's you. I don't think so. I think it's kind of ridiculous for somebody to think that. but we can have a discussion about stuff like that. You know, I'm not gonna say you're full of shit and you're stupid and what the hell's wrong with you and stuff like that. But what gets me upset the most is that people don't understand. You're focusing you're focusing on the wrong thing. You need to be focusing on what is actually going on behind the scenes. But behind the scenes, not with a wrestler, the company, because the company, going back to the Bad Bunny thing for a second, the company is what is the problem. The company hasn't been focusing on the wrestling product. So the company hasn't been focusing on wrestling product for months, on Raw at least, and Bad Bunny coming in and Bow Wow coming in, that's going to change everything. No, it's just not, because nothing was good before they came in. So if anything, they're just making it a little bit better. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, next week on AEW, these gentlemen right here, they're going to face the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Champions. And I'm going to be watching that because I think they're going to win. I really do. Things are happening on SmackDown. Things are happening on Raw. NXT has a show on Sunday. I don't even remember the name of it. Whatever. I like SmackDown and AEW Dynamite. Those are my two favorite shows. AEW slightly, I would have to honestly say SmackDown is slightly over AEW just because of the Roman Reigns storyline. If the Roman Reigns stuff wasn't happening, I probably wouldn't even want to watch WWE at all, being honest. But that excites me for Friday, at least. Like, okay, I want to know what's going on with the Roman Reigns stuff. And bits and pieces here and there, like Keith Lee. And I like Drew as a champion, but I don't like what they make Drew go through. So yeah. If that story from Wrestle Talk is true, y'all gotta friggin' get with the program. Misplaced unhappiness. Focus on what it is that Vince McMahon and the creative team are doing, and look at what they have been doing to Raw for months. It's not a good show. And that was before Bad Bunny came in. Not a good show. I think on my recaps of Cage Side Seats, I think I had like a D+ as a grade 3 weeks in a row, and I almost wanted to see how long I was going to go. I was like, these shows are just consistently bad, but then they kind of bounced back right after the Royal Rumble. But now it's sliding down again immediately because that's just how it works. So it's like, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, really. Like, the integration with NJPW into AEW and Impact and Bad Bunny and WWE, Roman Reigns on SmackDown. If you like NXT, I know there are some people I know that like NXT. Okay, good for you. I don't really like NXT anymore. I'm sorry. But if you're a fan of it, that's wonderful. New Japan is going to have their Roku channel show starting today. I'm going to be looking forward to that. And I really was like, I'd completely, I've had a lot of outside wrestling things going on, so I didn't have podcasting and wrestling as the forefront of my mind today. or for this week rather. So going forward, I might actually move the show to Thursdays. I think I'm going to move it to Thursdays because I'm going to want to talk about AEW for a little while, probably. So I'd like to just like watch AEW Wednesday night, Thursday, Big Money Talks. So next Thursday, I'm going to do this because, you know, we have the match with these two gentlemen. And yeah, next Thursday, Big Money Talks. Until then, bye for now.